Knowledge with Marty Duffy, Liz Rhoades, and Lou Bryson. This week with special guest Paul Hletko from FEW Spirits. Very exciting to have Paul here with us today. I'm going to let the gang introduce Paul to you guys in just a moment. First, real quick, my name is Will Hookinga from Zavvy.co. And if you're joining us for the first time, on your right, you will see a chat box. Feel free to comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know what's on your mind. Also, if you have a question at any point in the presentation for Paul or any of our hosts, you'll see a little button at the bottom that says Ask a Question. So press that button and enter your question in there. I'll be keeping an eye out on questions and sending them over to our host throughout the presentation. Last but not least, please share the event. Invite your friends to join us. There's a share button in the top right where you can do that. But yeah, with all that said, Marty, Liz, Lou, I will turn things over to y'all now.
Woohoo! All right. Well, thank you, Will. I'm Martin Duffy, national brand representative for Glencairn Crystal. Plus, has spent over 50 years in the whiskey industry. Kinda. Liz?
Mostly.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining in. I'm Liz Rhoades, technical distiller and spirit consultant. Have just over a decade of experience in alcoholic beverage industry. And I'm currently founder and principal at Spirit Safe Consultings. Lou.
Yes. I'm Lou Bryson. I'm a whiskey writer, so I just make this shit up. I have 20 years experience as the managing editor of Whiskey Advocate magazine, and I also wrote this here book, Whiskey Master Class.
Oh my God! I love that book.
It's an awesome book.
I went off reading the end. I don't know how it ends yet, so don't tell me.
I bought one, but nobody sent it to me yet.
Burn.
Actually, I think it did go out. It's just, I send things media mail. It's probably still being carried by a gopher.
Pony Express. That's how Lou travels.
But it's affordable.
Right.
It's all good.
And this guy over here, Paul, explain yourself.
Yeah, Mr. Hletko. Who the heck are you, Mr. Hletko?
My name's
tell us a
Paul,
little.
founder. I founded a small company called FEW Spirits, and we make whiskey, and so I guess that's probably why y'all wanted to talk to me, because of whiskey.
I think
it might not be because of my expertise in French Baroque poetry, but it might be. I don't know.
You told us not to ask you about that.
I think it's more of your shrouded past in Hollywood, Mr. Former Kid. Liz, tell them about the facts you found out how he was actually the Karate Kid, not Ralph Macchio. Remember how you told me?
Yeah.
Ralph
Macchio's coming on? That's a good guess.
Next week. Big whiskey drinker. Actually, Mr. Hletko, I would like to know. Paul, you were very, very, very instrumental in turning your little hometown of Evanston. Were you born in Evanston, by the way?
No, I was actually born in Oak Park, but I've been living here in Evanston for 14 years now.
Yeah, basically the same.
Not as exciting, though. But no, I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Michigan. Go Blue.
So, but now you were instrumental in overturning the liquor laws in Evanston, turning it from a dry little suburb to soaking wet. Is this not true? Tell us how you went about doing that.
I love those kind of stories.
Yes, I mean, Evanston, which is where the distillery is and where I am in the quote home office, as you can see there, was actually the birthplace of the entire Prohibition movement. The group of women that were driving it forward were Women's Christian Temperance Union, and their second head of the WCTU was this Evanston resident named Frances Elizabeth Willard. And because of that, Evanston was just always dry as dry can get. And long story short, I'm the guy that killed Prohibition dead in its birthplace.
Sweet! Look at that! And that's
what? Raise the roof.
I always thought you. Always thought you named your distillery after Fred Willard, the very late Fred Willard.
Yes.
But
It's either that or Isaac from the Love Boat, but that'll be my next one.
and how did you? So you were a lawyer. You were a bottom
in the dark days
sucker. And then
yes.
Not to be confused with a fish.
Are you calling me a mullet?
No. Though I believe you had a mullet once upon a time.
I do. I wish I had one now. Like COVID here is coming in a little bit, but it's not long enough yet.
We're going to get into your
COVID beard.
That's a COVID beard?
That's right.
Yeah, Liz is growing hair starting today. So how'd you get from being a lawyer to a distiller? And did overturning the liquor laws there, did that have anything to do with it? Did you have this idea before you overturned the law?
Well, I had the idea, and then kind of went to the city and just kind of said, hey, this is what I want to do. And then do me a favor and tell me, no, I can't do it here. So I can go somewhere else and I'll do it there. Please don't say yes and then mean no. But if you say yes, that's great. But no is the answer I'm looking for. And they said, no, we could do that. And so, well, because that's the worst waste of time. Everybody's time is to say, hey, I want to do this. And they go, yeah. Because that's what nobody wants to say the word no ever. Everybody wants to say yes.
Okay. All right.
But in the meantime, now I've spent 4 years working with them and always running into roadblocks. I mean, just say no. It's okay. I can go to Chicago. I can go to Skokie. I can go to any number of other cities and do this. I just want to do it here. And if you want it, that's great. And if you don't, I'll go somewhere else. It's not personal. But they said yes, and they actually meant it. And so I worked at the city for over a year. Went to hearing after hearing after hearing. Lost track after 15 different hearings. But never once took a single no vote anywhere I went. It was always 5-0, 7-0, 9-0. And pretty much the only questions I ever got were, okay, cool. Seriously? That's so awesome. You got to tell me more. I can't believe that's the most amazing thing I've ever heard. That's awesome. And then there's one guy who's actually on the liquor commission. And his whole thing was that he likes good whiskey. And he's like, Paul, are you going to make good whiskey? And I said, well, yeah, I'm going to try.
No, I have plans to make
you're good.
It's a really novel business plan.
Yeah. And they make this cotton candy and Lucky Charms whiskey. Everybody wants that. But no, I mean, it was worked with the city, and just kind of people knew me because I'd been around this community for a while, at least a couple of years, and maybe even a few. And people got into it. People were excited. Sorry, Lou, I gotta throw in the shouts here and there.
I understand.
But worked with them, and so just all and so far it's working. Really, I mean, there we go, Marty.
So sly. So
yeah, we're growing. We continue to grow, and
if I may, has that the change in the liquor law, has that helped other businesses in Evanston as well?
Yeah, I mean, so we were the first. We're the first alcohol ever made here. We've now been joined by 4 breweries, a cidery, a kombucha house, or I don't know what you call a kombucha maker. Liz might know what you call it. Somebody makes kombucha.
Kombucha maker sounds like it.
Kombuchery?
I'm a kombucha maker.
I don't know what you call them. Kombuchery?
I think they're just still brewers.
Oh,
kombucha brewers.
Kombuchery.
That makes more sense.
Kombucha.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Hello, Monique.
Sorry.
Monique says she only likes bourbon, not whiskey. So
I know Monique likes scotch. Are you not a keeper of the quiz?
I was just typing a response, Monique. I was like, good one. I get that one a lot too. I'm just like, let's unpack that.
Also, Paul, remember that Lee Wood says you're rocking the COVID beard looks good.
He tells his brother can get inspired.
Oh, kombuchas.
Kombucha. I like kombuchas.
I like that.
Kombuchas.
I like that, bud.
I don't know. That's something like calling a cat or something. Hey, give me a little kombucha.
I'm getting a lot of press releases on this stuff right now, and everybody keeps calling it booch, which I'm just like,
Booch, yeah.
Really?
Oh.
Booch?
It's a weird name.
Yeah.
I get it, but I don't know if I get it. But no,
I'm looking for some booch.
But up here in Evanston, we've got breweries now. We've got a cidery. We've got all these companies. We've got amazing restaurants. And a lot of it kind of came in once we got inspired. All of a sudden, Evanston always had the reputation of being a sleepy city. And then all of a sudden people are like, wait a minute, there's a distillery in Evanston? Let's go check it out. And all of a sudden we've got a little bit of a nice, the food scene here is awesome now. And you got great beer, you got great whiskey, obviously. But we've turned, it's starting to really turn into a great little city, just a mile from the city limits of Chicago.
Paul, you started in 2011, correct?
Yeah, we started selling in 2011, August 3rd. We're coming up on our 9th birthday.
I know. I remember.
Well, let's remember our first birthday.
I remember you
many years ago.
Just being a fresh-faced kid, never had a beard. You were clean cut. You looked like you were fresh out of college. Though you were
and now look at me.
Much, much older. Yes. 10 years.
Look what whiskey can do to you.
It gets told on you. But now, Paul, how do you account for, 10 years? There's been a number of distilleries that have been around for 10 years or more, but FEW has had a very successful ride so far. You guys you're internationally available, correct, Mundo? You're over in the UK.
36 countries, 5 continents.
Wow. That's pretty good. All 50 states?
All 50 states.
Whoa.
We're, we're growing. It's been good. We've had a good little run, but really we just kind of focus on trying to make the best whiskey we can every day. Every day we get a little bit better, and after a couple of years you start getting better. And we were we were early in the craft spirits arena. So when we started, there really weren't that many other distilleries that were out there. And yes, obviously we can all name people that were here before we were, but there weren't that many. And so it's not like today when you've got 2,000 distilleries in the country. When we started up, there were maybe 30, 40 people across the country making small batch handcrafted grain to glass whiskey. There really were not very many people doing it. And so once people kind of got excited, people got excited and they kind of got on board, and we very quickly became known for having some of the better liquid out there, courtesy of some major whiskey magazines that gave us a good break early on. Hint, hint.
I call them like I say them. Oh, excuse me, taste them.
But well, you gotta see it. The color is very important. The only thing that matters, right?
Well, now, does it work the other way too? Do you think consumers are? Were consumers more lenient back then on judging whiskey, on saying, "Oh, this is good. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is that," and now they're pickier? Have you found that yet, or are they still? I think there's something to be said that maybe there's still the pool is still growing so fast that we still have a lot of fairly inexperienced drinkers. I'm sorry, I'm asking questions and then answering. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, but I think there's a wide variety of drinkers out there, and I think you see, and we see all of them, right? At a small batch distillery, we see everybody from the, I don't want to say old guard, but people have been drinking whiskey for a while. They won't drink anything that doesn't come out of Kentucky, and they won't drink anything that's not from, one of the 7 legacy distilleries. And that's great. You see other people that are a little bit adventuresome, and they're willing to kind of move out, and they don't want to just drink from the big 7. They want to drink good whiskey, but they're willing to experiment and spread out and find that. And once they find it, they become pretty loyal, and you're part of the entourage drinker, and that's probably where most of our people are.
So, Paul, do
there are decent. What?
Do you still think there's brand loyalty, though? I mean, because that's been something that's been of question, whereas people used to be very brand loyal to one brand. Now it's more folks are covering their back bar with a number of different whiskeys.
I think people do remain loyal, but not to one. There will be a entourage of whiskeys that they will drink.
Yeah.
A portfolio. So, maybe 50 years
exploration.
ago, you would only drink brand X. Today, that you'll only drink one of these 20 or 30 brands. For the more aficionado, I don't think it's uncommon to have 20, 30, maybe even 40 or 50 bottles of whiskey that you rotate among. Not one, but it just kind of it varies. And you will see some people that just don't really understand. I don't want to say that's not the right word I'm looking for, but I think Lou said used the word lenient, and I do think you'll see a lot of that with drinkers that are very lenient on various things for some time. And I've seen that kind of across the country, where you'll see like a small craft distillery pop up, and everybody in the area gets real excited. Oh, there's a distillery in my backyard. And then they buy a bottle and they drink it, and it's okay. It's fine. But then they kind of going, well, that's a $60 bottle that was fine, and I can get a pretty good bottle for $35-$40. That'll be better. Well, I'll buy another bottle from the small local, but then it just kind of sits there.
Yeah, I think a lot of Chicago distilleries had that. Was 10, 12 years ago, they had a big Booskval and North Shore. I think because they're new and different, and they're local. I think that's a big draw, especially for a lot of bars. But then it's gotten it's just exploded. So when you started, it was about between 200 and 250 distilleries in the U.S. at that time. To now, it was before this whole COVID thing. It would probably have been nearly 2,000 by the time.
We were at 2,000.
Yeah, so that's amazing in 10 years.
Yeah, the volume, the number of players has grown, and certainly the market share for all of us collectively has grown. But the share is not growing as fast as the number was. So I think that has some unfortunate corollaries. And quality is starting to make more of a difference. You're seeing, certainly not in my backyard, of course, but I've seen smaller distilleries around the country that perhaps were not meeting the quality that is mandated by the marketplace today, not survive, even though they're local and people get excited about them. It's really, if you don't have a good product, it's tough.
For me, consistency, I think, is sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think consistency with that quality piece is pretty important, I would say, as a consumer. But I think there's different schools of thought on this as well, because some people, I think of more of the winemaker mentality, where it's, maybe consumers are looking for subtle differences from batch to batch. But I would say overwhelmingly, I think if I, have a new whiskey at a bar setting or what have you, and then I purchase a bottle, I'm wanting it to be, the same experience. So I don't know what what you've seen with that in terms of.
A squirrel just fell off a tree and landed off my window, so I got freaked out. It's one of the weirdest things I've seen. No, I think people who are looking for the small batch spirits, which is of course what FEW is, I think they kind of want some variation.
Okay.
And you can see that based on everybody's obsession with single barrels. People want some variation. It needs to be like this. You can't be, one bottle can't be great and the next bottle's crap, and one bottle can't be a big spice bomb and the next bottle is nothing but corn syrup, and one bottle's a ruby red and the next.
With the single barrel, there's a pretense too. Yeah.
Right.
What do you mean by that?
Some variation.
Sorry, Liz, could you just expand on that? There's a pretense when this is a single barrel? Yeah, it's easy for me. I just get that way.
Well, yeah, because you are telling the consumer, there's a marketing component of notifying the consumer that this is going to be different because this is, coming from one specific barrel, and there are a lot of variances that happen, barrel to barrel, where it's located in the warehouse, what temperature, humidity, all those things. So I think for me, that's I guess what I'm saying about pretense is you're notifying the consumer that this will be a little bit different. And what Paul's saying is consumers are excited about that to kind of see, oh, well, this barrel, I did get a little bit more clove or, et cetera. So